بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. With regards to being a seeker of excellence, having high aspirations and the pursuit of knowledge, and not being low or base, not being mean, regular, average, mediocre when it comes to seeking ilm, the proper attention, the proper aspiration, the proper ambition. When we talk about ulu al-himma, when we talk about tumuh, when we talk about these things, then of course it's a paramount topic. But this topic doesn't just pertain to seeking ilm. Rather, this mindset and this culture of the sky is the limit, reaching for the stars, searching for the stars, is something that everyone can benefit from. Whether you're a professional student of knowledge, whether you've graduated, whether you're a part-time seeker of knowledge, whether you do classes or you don't, whether you're a man or a woman, whether you're young, you want to play sports, you want to go to school, you want to go to college, you want to get a degree, you want to make your parents happy, etc. Every single Muslim can benefit from the mindset of high aspirations and the mindset of not being pleased with the basic, simple way, wanting more, competing for more, having an insatiable thirst and hunger for excellence. And of course, at the top of that list is the excellence of the hereafter. The excellence of the hereafter. وَفِي ذَلِكَ فَلْيَتَنَافَسِ الْمُتَنَافِسُونَ. Allah says anyone who wants to compete, anyone who is a mutanafis, anyone who wants to rush, who wants to fight, who wants to race, anyone who wants to outdo someone, then let him do it concerning the Iliyin, concerning the Nadratul Naim, concerning to Khitamuhu Misk, concerning Ala al-Ara'iki Yanzurun. All of the pleasures, the bounties, the sweets, the joy of Jannah. If you want to rush for something, if you want to compete for anything, then let it be for this. So seeking excellence of the hereafter, is that something that every Muslim can learn from and every Muslim can benefit from? And the connection or the correlation between the excellence of the hereafter, paradise, Jannah, and ilm is clear in the Quran. And it's based off of the statement of Sufyan ibn Uyayna, and others they say Sufyan al-Thawri, one of the early great Muslim scholars, in which they said, مَا عُبِدَ اللَّهُ بِمِثْلِ الْفِقْهِ. مَا عُبِدَ اللَّهُ بِمِثْلِ الْفِقْهِ. There's not an act of worship. There's not a way of worshiping Allah that's better, that's more virtuous, that's more thorough than knowledge and ilm. And this is directly based off of the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. Whoever Allah wants good, whoever Allah wants good for, whoever Allah wants to bless, He gives him fiqh of the deen. مَا عُبِدَ اللَّهُ بِمِثْلِ الْفِقْهِ. So as if a person can take this hadith and take that effort and draw a line between the servant and Jannah. And as if a person can make a conclusion or a determination and say, the closest way to paradise, the fastest way to paradise, the easiest way to paradise is through seeking knowledge of the religion. As the Prophet ﷺ tells in another authentic hadith, وَمَنْ سَلَكَ طَرِيقًا يَسْلُكُ فِيهِ عِلْمًا أَوْ يَلْتَمِسُ فِيهِ عِلْمًا سَلَكَ اللَّهُ لَهُ بِهِ طَرِيقًا إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. Whoever treads a path in which he seeks knowledge, Allah will place him on a path leading to paradise. Allah will place him on a path that leads to paradise. Now we all know that Allah the Mighty and the Most High is above all of His creation. Allah Azza wa Jalla is Al-Aliyyul A'la, with all of the meanings of Al-Ulu, كما يقول بعض العلماء على ثلاثة أقسام: علو القدر, علو القهر, وعلو الذات. Allah Azza wa Jalla is Al-Ali Al-A'la, the Most High, the loftiest. يَخَافُونَ رَبَّهُمْ مِنْ فَوْقِهِمْ. The angels, they fear Allah from above, right? These angels who fear Allah from above, where do they reside? Where are they? Of course, they're angels upon earth. They're angels that are entrusted with your deeds. They're angels, they're angels, they're angels. But the first place that you think about when you think about malaika, like it's mentioned in ayat and ahadith, is who? You're aware. In heaven, in the sky. So, Allah Azza wa Jal is the highest. From Allah's created beings, from those who are the highest are the angels. Number 3, those who are upon earth, but their qadr, their value, their worth, their status is above, is lofty, and those are the people of knowledge. And there's a connection to that as well. Shahid Allahu annahu la ilaha illahu wa man wal malaika wa man wa ulul ilmi qa'iman bil qist ila akhir ayah. Allah says that Allah bears witness. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He bears witness, and the angels, they bear witness as well, that none has the right to be worshipped but Him. Allah bears witness to His own tawheed. And the angels also bear witness to Allah's tawheed. Wa ulul ilm. Last but not least, or third, comes ulul ilm, yani ashabul ilm. The scholars, the learned, knowledgeable men and women of Islam, they also bear witness to Allah's tawheed. So Allah bearing witness to His own tawheed, Allah is the most lofty. From Allah's created beings, the malaika, for sure they are lofty, they're high up. Thirdly, from among the human beings who bear witness to Allah Azza wa Jall's tawheed are the ulama. And Allah Azza wa Jalla, He also gives them a status which is what? Very lofty. So we see that the highness and the loftiness is connected. So you're talking about aspiring for good, right? That's number 1. Seeking excellence. Seeking excellence of the hereafter. Number 2, right? And the quickest way, the greatest way, the best type of excellence to seek, we said number 1, not the only one, is seeking the excellence of ilm. And that is included in that ayah. And that's because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not call anyone to be a witness unless that person is a just, righteous, virtuous person. Allah, alaysa Allahu bi ahkamil hakimin. Wallahu yahkum. La mu'aqiba li hukmihi. Allah rules. No one can object to Allah's ruling. Allah is the wisest of all those who give judgment. Allah would not bring a servant as a witness who is ignorant. It's not going to happen. He's not going to bring a witness who is lacking the necessary knowledge, who's a sinner, who's an evildoer. Allah is only going to bring the best of the best to bear witness. The best of the best, firstly, the angels. La ya'sun Allah. They never disobey Allah, what Allah commands them to do, right? Number 2, after the angels from the created beings, He mentions wa'ulul ilm and the scholars of Islam. And this proves that Allah Azza wa Jalla is praising the ulama. He's lauding them. He's giving them props, giving them status, giving them respect. And that's because a wise judge is not going to bring someone to the courtroom who's a fool. An experienced lawyer, a prosecutor, the attorney, he's going to say, Your Honor, I would like to call upon my first witness. Or let witness such and such take the stand. Who's going to be his first witness? Someone who he knows their testimony has 1,000 loopholes in it. Someone who the lawyer knows is a well-known drunkard. He's a well-known wife beater. He's a well-known thief. He's a well-known cheat. Someone who has a low worldly status is not going to be the witness. They're not going to bring the witness from someone who's a liar, someone that the cross-examination is going to pick to pieces. Is this not the case? He's only going to bring to witness someone that he trusts and knows has an efficient status, let alone a high status, to prove the point that he's trying to prove. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is the wisest of judges. He's the best of those who make judgment. And He brought to witness 2 classes of His created beings. 1 are those who are high and lofty with all of its meanings, the angels. And 2, the ulama of Islam who are upon this earth, but their status and their value is high and it is lofty. قال الحافظ القرطبي رحمه الله تعالى في تفسيره الثانية، يعني الفائدة الثانية المستنبطة من هذه الآية الكريمة: في هذه الآية دليل على فضل العلم وشرف العلماء وفضلهم فإنه لو كان أحد أشرف من العلماء لقرنهم الله باسمه واسم ملائكته كما قرن اسم العلماء وقال في شرف العلم لنبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم وقل ربي زدني علما فلو كان شيء أشرف من العلم لأمر الله تعالى نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم أن يسأله المزيد منه كما أمر أن يستزيده من العلم وقال صلى الله عليه وسلم إن العلماء ورثة الأنبياء وقال العلماء أمناء الله على خلقه وهذا شرف للعلماء عظيم ومحل لهم في الدين خطير وخرج أبو محمد عبد الغني الحافظ من حديث بركة بن النشيط وعنكل بن حكارك وتفسيره بركة بن نشيط وكان حافظا حدثنا عمر بن مؤمل قال حدثنا محمد بن أبي الخصيب قال حدثنا عنكل قال حدثنا محمد بن إسحاق قال حدثنا شريك عن أبي إسحاق عن البراء قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم العلماء ورثة الأنبياء يحبهم أهل السماء ويستغفر لهم الحيتان في البحر إذا ماتوا إلى يوم القيامة وفي هذا الباب عن أبي الدرداء خرجه أبو داود. Al-Qurtubi rahimahullah, one of the great exegetes of the Quran, he explains the benefit from this ayah. He says, this ayah is a great praise of Allah for the ulama. Allah is praising the ulama in this verse. And that is because Allah would not have mentioned someone's name or people along with the name of the angels and His holy and sacred name. It wouldn't be in one sentence. Shahid Allahu annahu la ilaha illahu. The first shahid, the first witness is Allah. The first one who testifies to Allah's tawheed. Number two, wal malaika, and the angels. Number three, wa ulul ilm. In the beginning of Surah Ali Imran, this verse is from, as you all know, the beginning of the 3rd chapter. Allah says, and the people of knowledge, all of them bear witness, none has the right to be worshipped but all. They bear witness to Allah's tawheed. So Qurtubi, he says, Allah is not going to bring someone as a witness to testify unless that witness to testify is on a high, lofty status. And they are the people of knowledge. Allah, the Mighty and the Most High, He also commanded His Prophet and His Messenger to say, وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. وَقُلْ, Muhammad, you need to say, you should say, you have to say, tell your followers to say, Rabbi zidni ilman. Oh my Lord, give me more knowledge. Qurtubi rahimahullah, he says, if there was a thing that was greater than knowledge, that was better than knowledge, if there was some excellence to be sought higher than ilm, Allah would have commanded the Prophet to ask for that. And it doesn't say, وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي مَالًا قُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي وَلَدًا قُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي قُوَّةً وَبَسْطَةً قُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي نِسَاءً قُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي كَذَا قُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي كَذَا قُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي كَذَا. Oh my Lord, increase me in land and wealth and wives and this and that and sons and children. But Allah only commanded the Prophet to ask for an abundance, to ask him for a surplus, to ask him for more of one thing and one thing only, and that is ilm. Al-Qurtubi says this proves that the highest excellence to seek is what? Is ilm. So everyone see the conversion now? The train of thought, seeking excellence in general. Seeking excellence of the hereafter. The closest way to that excellence, the closest way to Jannah, the fastest way, the most virtuous thing to do as a Muslim is to have an excellence that you seek with regards to Allah Azza wa Jal, His names, His attributes, the deen, the Quran, i.e. the best profession to be is a student of knowledge. Even if you don't make that much money, even if your parents may disagree, even if it's going to be a hard time for you to get married, even if people say that a woman can't be a student of knowledge, even if you have to sacrifice and struggle, even if you can't go to Medina and you only study in Ottawa, even if you wasted 5 years out of your life, even if you used to do bad things, you have tattoos, or you used to smoke, or you used to drink, or you made zina, you made mistakes, you wasted years out of your life. If you realize it now, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you can make a difference. Even if you feel that you're old, I'm 25, I'm 27, I'm not 18, I'm not like you, I don't know Arabic, my Arabic isn't that good. All of these evens and these ifs, you have to get rid of them. So the best thing to be is a talibul ilm. Is it permissible to be an engineer? For sure. As long as you're not engineering anything haram. Is it permissible to be a lawyer? Alhamdulillah. As long as you're dealing with the law, that's halal. Is it permissible to be a doctor? As well. Is it permissible to be a businessman? There's nothing wrong with that. Muslims need doctors. Muslims need lawyers. Muslims need businessmen. There's no doubt about that. But the best thing to be, the highest thing to seek, the agenda that I have, that I would wish for each and every one of you to be, is a student of knowledge and a scholar. And this is one of the reasons why. One of the reasons why is that Allah Azza wa Jalla, He never told His Prophet ﷺ to ask for something more except for ilm. And that can't be an accident. وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ نَسِيًّا لَا يَضِلُّ رَبِّي وَلَا يَنْسَى. Allah doesn't forget. Allah doesn't make a mistake. وَمَا مَسَّنَا مِن لُغُوبٍ. There's no weakness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He mentioned that specifically. And if it was a human being who said that, we would say as human beings strategically mention that. I strategically, intentionally mention this one specific thing. When you see him, make sure you give him this and not that. I specifically mention that, not out of a mistake. And I went out of my way to say a specific thing. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, He never told the Prophet ﷺ He never told him to seek an addition of anything else except for ilm. And that can have one meaning and one meaning only. Now let's move forward. Why don't people strive for excellence? Why are we lazy? Why am I lazy and forgetful and lethargic? Why some days I feel like I'm held down to the bed. I don't feel like reading. I don't feel like studying. I want to go play. I want to laugh. I want to joke. I want to just relax, chill with my friends. Why are some people scared to go overseas and scared to sacrifice? Why do you know that knowledge is the best thing for yourself and for your parents? But you're afraid of your parents who say you have to seek the dunya. Even though you know, because you read the hadith, that the Prophet ﷺ said, when a servant dies, he won't receive the reward for his deeds, except for 3 deeds. And from those 3 deeds is a righteous child. What child could be more righteous than the one who makes a living off of sitting in the masjid all day? Traveling from masjid to masjid, talk to talk. How many people make dua for a speaker or a sheikh? Since I've been in Ottawa in these 3 days, and I ask Allah to accept your duas and to make me better than what you think I am, and to hide the ugliness that you don't know about me. How many brothers have walked up to me and made dua for me? Sima, how many have you seen? Just in 3 days. May Allah bless you. May Allah reward you. May Allah bless you immensely. How many strangers walked up to us? I see your videos. I benefit. Jazakallah khairan. Out of all of those du'as, how many, or perhaps you think all of them will be rejected? One will be rewarded? One will be accepted? What child could be more righteous than someone who's involved and stuck in the house of Allah? Someone who lectures, who teaches the people about Allah's words, the Prophet's words. What child could be more righteous? You're scared and afraid of peer pressure or your parents' pressure, and you yourself know that the Prophet ﷺ, when the 2 men during his time, one studied with him and one used to work. And the worker came to the Prophet ﷺ and he complained. My brother is basically just freeloading, as we would say. I'm working and I'm feeding him. Get up, lazy, you work too. Why do I gotta take care of you and pay your bills? This is what we would say in our times. The man went to the Prophet ﷺ and he complained about his brother. I work, I provide for him, and the only thing he does is just sit and learn with you. In other words, O Messenger of Allah, please tell him to get a job himself. What did the Prophet ﷺ, as you know, he said, لَعَلَّكَ تُرْزَقُ بِهِ. He says, maybe the money that you make, the things that you sell, the animals that you farm and so on and so forth, لَعَلَّكَ تُرْزَقُ بِهِ هُوَ. Maybe Allah is giving you all of this money and wealth because of your brother. Because of the barakah of your brother. And your brother is doing nothing else but what? Studying. Look at this hadith now. Perhaps the money that the parent gets, that the older brother who wanted to be an engineer, maybe he's only successful because of the younger Abdullahi, who wants to be an imam and who wants to be a scholar. So you know these things. You want to study, you want to go overseas, but your parents or your friends, peer pressure or the media, why do people fall victim to this? Last but not least is, what is so ugly about having low aspirations? Why is having low aspirations such a bad thing? What's the big deal? Why can't I just be a normal person? I'm nothing special. I don't want to do nothing extra. I just want to be a normal, average, John Doe. I just want to be a normal person. Why do I have to be something special? Why do I have to kick myself and take it a step further? That's what we want to discuss tonight. بإذن الله عز وجل. قال الحافظ أبو الفرج بن الجوزي رحمه الله تعالى تعليقا على قول أبي الطيب المتبني كما في عوائق الطلب: ولم أرى في عيوب الناس عيبا كنقص القادرين على التمام. ينبغي للعاقل أن ينتهي إلى غاية ما يمكنه، فلو كان يتصور للآدمي صعود السماوات لرأيت من أقبح النقائص رضاه بالأرض، ولو كانت النبوة تحصل بالاجتهاد رأيت المقصر في تحصيلها في حضيض، والسيرة الجميلة عند الحكماء خروج النفس إلى غاية كمالها الممكن لها في العلم والعمل. قال: وفي الجملة لا يترك فضيلة يمكن تحصيلها إلا حصلها، فإن القنوع حالة الأراذل، فكن رجلا رجله في الثرى وهامته في الثريا، فلو أمكنك عبور كل أحد من العلماء والزهاد فافعل، فإنهم كانوا رجالا وأنت رجل، وما قعد من قعد إلا لدناءة الهمة وخساستها، واعلم أنك في ميدان سباق والأوقات تنتهب، فلا تخلد إلى كسل، فما فات إلا بالكسل، وما نال إلا بالجد والعزم. انتهى كلامه رحمه الله تعالى. Today we were in an aviation museum and we learned about the silver dart of 1909, 6 years after the Wright brothers made the supposed first flight in America, and then years later, Canada, they made their first flight. They flew for about, the museum curator, he told us, said about 8 to 9 meters high, and they flew for about 80 meters. Now, is this accurate or not? Nowadays, that's a trifle. For an airplane to only reach 9 meters high and only fly for 80 meters, it's not a big feat at all. You may be able to jump that high. Or you may have an app on your phone that gets you what? That high, and you can fly that fast. But over 100 years ago, it was a great big deal. A great big deal. And then he went on to explain to us what the plane was made of, how they designed it, how they engineered it, the difficulties and the problems of making the plane, getting it in the air, and of course, it's like making money, but it's hard to keep it. So once you get the plane up, how do you successfully land it and keep it in one piece? That's another major obstacle that they had to go through. The plane is fragile. It's made of bamboo. The wings were silk, wood and metal, leather. It's nothing like the planes today. It looks like a stick figure. So getting in the air was a lot of work. Then landing it is a whole nother headache. And in most cases, when the plane came down, it did what? It crashed and it crumbled into pieces. But look at aviation to this day, how fast planes go, how high planes go, how long planes can stay in the air. Look how people have, as if it's an apartment, a condominium in the air. They can sit back, they can relax, they can take a shower, they can eat fresh, hot, warm food. So much stuff they do in the air, right? So he took us around and he showed us the different stages of them building and making airplanes until we start talking about space aviation. Space aviation and how they supposedly went and traveled to space, whether it's the moon, quote unquote, or Mars, quote unquote, so on and so on and so on and so forth. So this is in a museum today. And when we read, they didn't believe that a person could get this high. They didn't believe that a plane could fly this fast. And he also told us about World War I, the generals, the colonels, the lieutenants. They didn't believe that airplanes could play a major role in attacking the enemy. They didn't believe that it was going to be possible. Aerial bombardment, attacking from the sky was just, the soldiers on the ground, the infantry, they make and break the war. And the early planes were only used for reconnaissance, just to see where the troops were. In 2020, do they say this? Do they believe this? One of the easiest, fastest, quickest, most efficient ways of fighting and winning a war is through what? It's through the air. But over 100 years ago, things were different. Now stay with me now. Let's put a pause on that. You say, what are you talking about? What's the point? Why are you talking about an aviation museum? Listen carefully to what I'm about to say. Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah, of the 6th century, hundreds of years ago, he quoted a famous line of poetry by a famous poet. And the poet, he said, وَلَمْ أَرَ فِي عُيُوبِ النَّاسِ عَيْبًا كَنَقْصِ الْقَادِرِينَ عَلَى التَّمَامِ. He said, out of all the problems with humans, out of all problems that I see with human beings, and all of their shortcomings, I haven't seen a problem or a shortcoming as ugly كَنَقْصِ الْقَادِرِينَ عَلَى التَّمَامِ, as those who can reach perfection and they don't reach perfection. Out of all the problems that I've seen that people have, I've never seen a problem worse than those who refuse to seek excellence. That's what he said. And how many problems do human beings have? A little or a lot? Without a question. But he said the top problem, the ugliest, the darkest black eye, is for you to have the ability to do better, and you what? And you don't do better. Everyone understand this? That's what the poet said. Out of all the problems I've seen people have, I've never seen one worse than being a slacker, than being lazy, than having low aspirations, not having dreams, not having ambitions. Oh, I guess so. Inshallah, I'll do it. I can do it. Inshallah, I was thinking about going overseas, I studied a hadith book, but low aspirations, not dreaming, not wanting more out of life, not seeking a higher level. He says that's the ugliest thing that I've seen among people. This wise poet, he said. Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, commenting on this verse of poetry, or this line of poetry, he says that the aql, one who has a brain, he has to strive for as much as he can possibly get. You can't settle for less. You can't say, I'm all right with just one slice. I want all 8 slices out of a pizza. I want it all. Of good of the hereafter. I want the highest place, the highest rank. If there's any book that I can buy, I want to buy it. Any class I can sit in, I want to sit in it. Anything that I can memorize, I want to memorize it. Not to become complacent. He says anyone who's smart, he realizes this, is that you never ever settle for less. You never just say, oh, that's enough. I don't have to go any further. I don't have to work harder. Moving forward. He says, فَلَوْ كَانَ يُتَصَوَّرُ لِلْآدِمِ. Listen carefully to these words. He says, yutasawwar. He says, if it was even thought of for a human being to ascend into the stars, into the sky, into space, he said, then you will find those who are pleased with the earth to be what? Dumb and stupid. You find those who said, we're not going to go in the air. We're not going to try to travel to space. You find those people, they wouldn't be noble people. Those who can go high and they say, no, we'll stay on the earth. Everyone see the connection now with this in the museum? You see the connection with this in the museum or not? It was almost over 1,000 years ago. He says, فَلَوْ كَانَ. If it was even possible for you to think about humans, su'ud, going up, ascending. In 2020, that's a what? In 2020, what's that? That's a reality. In 1909, there's a what? A reality. No, they did it in 1909. In 2020, that's a what? That's a reality. Do they go to space? Is going to space real? We'll get there. But for sure, I got on an airplane from JFK, landing in the Pierce Airport. Everyone understand this? How many hundreds of feet am I up in the air? In the time of Ibn al-Jawzi, it was what? Wasn't even fathomable. You couldn't even imagine it. So it goes to show how things change. So, I can fly to Canada in an hour, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. I'd rather walk. I'll walk to Canada. I'll get on the back of a mule or a donkey. I'll take a train, I'll take a bus, I'll drive. The smart person is going to clearly say what? Take an airplane. Travel. It's ascend. And that's because it's faster, it's more comfortable, it's more efficient, it's cheaper, etc., 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 etc. Instead of me driving for 10 hours, 8 hours, 9 hours, snow, hell, it's dark, I'm tired, I'm snoozing, the light is coming in the car, take a rest. Let the pilot do all that. I'm from my house to Canada in an hour. Think about that now. The sensible person wouldn't say, I won't fly. Then when we were in the museum, now the tape is unpaused again, he then took us from the silver dart to the actual breaking of the sound barrier. A sonic boom, Mach 3, this and that. And he talked about the supersonic jets and how important they were, how vital they were. You imagine how fast a plane is in which it breaks the barrier of sound. Something you can't even begin to think about. What's the speed of sound? What's the barrier of sound? Allah Azza wa Jalla, 'allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. He taught man that which man didn't know. And he allowed man to come up with this type of technology. So, he went on to talk about the Cold War, and the Soviets, and the Americans, and the British, and the French, and so on and so on and so forth. And the role of the Royal Canadian Air Force, and how it is a staple, distinguished mark of a country's excellence and dominance to have a strong aviation program, to have a strong Air Force. And then he went on to talk about how scientists from Canada were divorced here in Canada and remarried where? In America. And that is where we get NASA from. And the original Canadian plane looks just like the NASA space shuttles. Everyone get the point I'm trying to make? So for a country to say, we're not going to spend millions of dollars on the space program, we're not going to spend millions of dollars on a program to develop jets, to improve, to enhance, to save people's lives, or to take people's lives, like he talked about in the war, that will prove that that country is what? Their mindset is what? Is low. You got this or not? Their mindset is low. You go to a country, they only have one airport. What type of third world country is this? The airport is beat down, it's shabby, the planes are slow, the planes are outdated. You're not going to say that that country is a what? A dominating country, let alone a world power. And a world power, there are going to be 10 airports in one city. They're going to have the best, fastest, most efficient commercial planes. The planes for the military, for spying, for reconnaissance are going to be of what? Top notch. And that is a manifestation that this country has what? High what? Aspirations. And then they don't have low aspirations. So Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah ta'ala, this scholar who died hundreds of years ago, he said if it was possible for a person to go to space and he refused to go but he wanted to stay on land, he would be looked down upon. So translate that to seeking ilm. You, right there, you, enter. It's possible for you to memorize, to go overseas, to be a scholar, to seek excellence, but you say, I'd rather stay in Ottawa and play basketball. Noble or ignoble? Which of the two? Everyone understand the point that I'm trying to get to? It just doesn't make sense to have low aspirations in life. For ilm, for deen, or for other things as well. Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says, and if you could be a prophet based off of how hard you worked, if nubuwwah, if prophecy could be obtained through hard work, you will find the people that refuse to work also what? Base. Who wouldn't want to be a prophet? If Allah told us that we could become prophets, but you have to work hard and spend this, who wouldn't want to do that? Who wouldn't want that nobility? I'd rather not be a prophet. I'll pass on that. Would you say that? You wouldn't say that. So the same applies to seeking ilm and being a scholar of the deen of Islam. Ibn al-Jawzi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here, and it's well known to the wise men and the wise women, wasiratul jamilatu. He says the beautiful way of these wise people is that a person is to exert him or herself to seek the excellence that they can. Whatever that thing may be. If you want to be a chef of culinary arts, try to be the best chef that you can be. You want to play basketball, don't just play basketball for fun. Don't just play basketball just to be on the court with your homies. Don't just play basketball because you see such and such. Say, I'm going to play for the Raptors. I'm going to go to the NBA. I'm going to be the next such and such. I'm going to be the next such and such. I'm going to be the next such and such. Why are people so sad today? Huh, Simon? Why are they so upset and distraught and downcast? Because who died? What's so special about Kobe Bryant? He's just a basketball player. Big deal. It's a black American who played basketball. What makes him so special? And which people in another country are sad and mourning, and Muslims are sending around texts and WhatsApp. What's the big deal? What made Kobe so special? How do you think he became the greatest? You think he came out of his mother's womb, the greatest basketball player? One of the greatest? Because of his looks? Because of his looks, right? Because of his DNA? For him to train and to do all that, he had to have what? High aspirations. He could have clearly said, and this is not a eulogy. This is not mentioning the mahasin, because those playing basketball, that has nothing to do with the grave. All right? We're trying to make a point here. Could he not have said, why should I even go to the NBA? There's Jordan, there's Larry Bird, there's this great, there's that great, there's Magic Johnson, etc. What's the big deal? How many great players came before him? How many? A little or a lot? Countless, right or wrong. And yet and still that did not stop him from what? From having hunger and thirst and an appetite and him leaving his mark on the game. Everyone understand this? And the same applies to ilm. We have so many scholars. Why do I have to study? Why should I research the hadith? Sheikh Fulan is there, brother Fulan is there. What's the big deal? Why do we need you? If you have that mindset, you can't go anywhere in life. And you never know what Allah has in store for you. Were there not great players that came before Michael Jordan? It's not the Dr. J and this one and that one. Great players. Did that stop him from his dreams and his aspirations? Did that stop him from that killer instinct that he had? So the same applies to any other field of excellence. And the head of a field of excellence is ilm, as we have proven already. So you can't look down upon yourself. That's the point, brothers and sisters. You can't look down upon yourself. And you can't say or feel, I can't do it. I'm too weak. I'm too young. I'm too old. I'm a sister. I'm a woman. I'm a brother. I'm from this race. I'm from this country. My parents. I can't. The moment that you say you can't, you've lost the game already. You've helped the shaitan against you. The moment you say that you can't. Bi'idhnillah, I can't do it. And maybe you can't. Maybe it is written for you not to do it. But how do you know that? You don't know until you what? Try. And Allah knows best. If Kobe Bryant was alive today, and you could talk to him, I would bet and I would say, Wallahu alam, that he would tell you that he reached heights, he reached accolades, he made achievements that didn't come in his wildest dreams. What you think, Simon? I should like behind that. In his wildest dreams, I never ever thought that my name would be up there with Flan, the Mount Rushmore of basketball, the great presidents. Who's better, Michael or? Do you think he thought about that? When you're at home watching TV, you're watching your idol, that's an idol, the person that you idolize. Do you think in your mind that one day I'm going to be compared to my idol? Listen carefully. Listen carefully, guys. Listen very carefully. It's a difference here. I'm going to be in the NBA one day. Mumkin. My father used to play basketball. Mumkin. People would know my name. Maybe. But my idol, I will be compared to him, and there will be those who say that I'm better than him. You think he ever thought about that? And most successful people, giants of worldly achievements, if you talk to them or you read their books, they'll all tell you the same thing. I never ever thought one day that my name would be up there with the person I used to idolize, let alone people will come along and say, what? He exceeded him. And that can't be done, that can't be achieved except through what? High aspirations, seeking excellence. Point proven or not? Point proven? طيب, he says, قال وفي الجملة لا يترك فضيلة يمكن تحصيلها إلا حصلها. He says, and in brief, in summary, any virtue that you can get, that you can add to your resume, you should add to your resume. Businessmen, do they think like that? It's only $5 more? People who have real estate, do they say, oh, it's just one house? Or there's a house for sale at a cheap price in a prime location. In 10 years, 15 years, there's going to be gentrification here. There's going to be a whole different neighborhood. Do they pass by the house? What do? They jump on it. They jump on it, and they don't leave off any fadila. If you have a resume, a career, I went here, I studied here, I have a PhD here, I went to this course, I did this program, I was cleric here. You get every single accolade to put on your what? your resume, the general, how many medals and stars does he have on him? How many little boxes and squares? There is no such thing as too many stars. Everyone understands there's no such thing as too much good. He says, فَكُنْ رَجُلًا رِجْلُهُ فِي الثُّرَى وَهَامَّةُ هَامَّتِهِ فِي الثُّرَيَّا. He says, so therefore, be a man who walks upon earth, but whose mind, whose heart, whose dreams are in the sky. Walk on the earth, but mentally walk in the sky. Everyone understand this? You walk, you drive, but in actuality, I'm a NASA pilot. That's how your dreams have to be. You can't just think the roof. You got to think above and beyond, especially in 2020, in which there's so many different challenges and so many different naysayers, and people who doubt you and say that you can't do it. He says here, so any scholar that you can come across, any zahid that you can come across, faf'al, do it. Take the knowledge from whoever you can take the knowledge from. And that's because those scholars and those zuhad were men, and you were also a man. If you prick my skin with a needle, what would happen? Just like you, this scholar, that scholar, we're all men. We're all human beings. There's no special DNA that a person is going to have. They're men just like you're a man. You can achieve what they achieved if you have those high aspirations, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, so therefore, no one has achieved anything except by hard work. And no one has missed out on a thing except because of laziness. Except because of laziness. So don't disgrace yourself. Don't shame yourself. Don't cheat yourself. Don't say, I just want to get a little bit. I just want to do a little bit here. I want to do a little bit there. If you have the ability to reach for the sky, you should do that. Be in the next, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah surely knows best. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make us of those who have high aspirations. We ask Him to make us of those who have dreams, positive dreams, and those who have the courage and the strength to follow those dreams. Because it takes courage to follow your dreams. It takes strength to follow your dreams. When I wanted to seek knowledge, when I wanted to go overseas and benefit, there were many people that told me not to do it. I had family members who said, no, stay in America, get married, get a job, start saving up money. You need to start working on a mortgage. You need to start building a family. You need to. I wouldn't be sitting in front of you right now if I didn't not listen to them and alhamdulillah have the courage from Allah to follow those dreams. Everyone understand this? So brothers and sisters, just be mindful of this. And with that being said, two last things that I want to include, inshallah. The first is from the greatest characteristics of a scholar, of a seeker of excellence, is respect of one's parents and dutifulness to one's parents. If you think that you're going to become a scholar in Islam and people are going to love you and respect you and pray for you, and your mother's making dua against you, you're living in a dream world. And what's meant by your mother making dua against you is not that you wanted to go overseas and she wanted you to be an engineer. She says, I'll pray against you if you don't listen to me. No, that's wrong. But we're talking about she's making dua against you because you disrespect her, because you disobey her, because you don't follow her rules and you don't honor her. Allah commanded us to worship Him and only Him. And right after that, He commanded us to be dutiful to our parents, to be respectful to our parents. So if you seek knowledge and you learn and you have no respect for your parents, your mother is complaining about you, then you're wasting your time seeking knowledge. It's a story that happened to me some years ago. I told the story before. It was of a young man. The young man, him and his family, they were from Bangladesh. And they used to go to a masjid that I used to frequent in Brooklyn, New York. So whenever I used to go to the masjid, I would see the young brother, and he would run up to me, and he would walk up to me, and he would be talking Arabic. And he was good. He impressed me. I said, where'd you learn Arabic from? You live in New York, and you're from Bangladesh. People from Bangladesh know Arabic, and people in New York know Arabic. But there has to be a reason. It's not like you're from Jordan. It's not like you're from Kuwait. It's not like you're born and raised in Saudi. You're going against the grain there. From your ethnicity and your location. You're going against the grain. So he says, well, you know, the Yemeni brothers in Brooklyn who own the delis and the bodegas, I talk with them. Some of them go to my school, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So he never went overseas. And he never was formally trained in Arabic, and he spoke better Arabic than some graduates of the university. It's impressive. So I said, you know, keep up the good work, inshallah. So I would go there, I would have my classes, and I would see the young brother from time to time. And then he said, Sheikh Mufti, I'm about to graduate high school. I want to go to Medina. Can you write me a letter of recommendation? Can you help me out? What college should I go to? So on and so on and so forth. I said, Inshallah, tayyib. Let's see what can be done. So one day, I went to Brooklyn, New York, and I had to go to a bank. I had a check that I was given for one of my services, and I had to cash the check, right? This was before the age of, you just put it in the ATM. I had to go to the teller or whatever. So when I went into the bank, I saw a Muslim sister in the bank. She had on a niqab, and of course you can recognize a person and see a person without staring at them and lusting over them. And she looked like a sister that was from Bangladesh, the cultural dress of women from Bangladesh, and many were niqab. So as I'm walking over to cash my check in this Riba bank, it's the lady and a few small kids. So she approaches me, she says, Assalamu alaikum. I said, wa alaikum salam, sister. Keep walking. She says, excuse me, Sheikh. I know who you are. Can I speak to you? I said, how can I help you? I didn't come to the bank to give dawah. I didn't come to the bank to answer any questions. What's up? She says, I need you to do me a favor. I said, sure. How can I help you? She said, I have a son. My son, I love him to death. I take care of him. I provide for him. I give him everything. But he's disrespectful. He doesn't listen to me. He doesn't obey me. He talks back to me. He talks smart to me. He does this with his little brother. So on and 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 so forth. So Allah musta'an. It's unfortunate. What do you want me to do now? She says, can you talk to him, please? Can you give him some nasiha? Can you advise him to stop doing this? I said, sure. Inshallah, I'll be at the masjid such and such. She said, no. She said, he's right here in the bank. I said, all right, sure. I don't want to embarrass the young brother, but what I'm going to do? She says, come here. He said, no, Umi. She says, come. She says, come out. So he came from behind the wall, and it was young brother Fulan, that knows Arabic, that has a hunger for thirst for ilm, who wants me to write him a letter of recommendation, so on and so on and so on and so forth. So his mother, she embarrassed him. And she says, well, tell Sheikh Mufti now what you told me to do, F and B, and kiss my and son. Tell him now. Tell Sheikh Mufti how you talk to me in the household. So the boy was obviously, he was totally played. She played him in front of everybody. So tell Sheikh Mufti now the nasty stuff that you say to me in the house. So he lowered his head, Allah musta'an, and I could barely even say anything to him because he was so ashamed and he was so embarrassed and he was so humiliated. And obviously, I left him, I cashed my check, took my money, and I went home. Ever since that day, wallahi, the young brother hasn't been the same. I saw him in the masjid from time to time. He would speak to me from time to time. He didn't go to Medina. I didn't write him a letter. I don't see him as being as studious, and the list goes on. Why, how? I don't know. That's beyond my powers. But you get the moral of the story. Do you think that he was blessed in his ilm, in his search, with disrespectful treatment to his mother? Should his mother have done that? Did she have to embarrass him? That wasn't the point. For a woman who's a stranger to walk up to a man who's a stranger and talk about internal problems in the household, it meant that his disrespect reached a level in which she tried to beat him, or she tried to punish him, or she tried to get the father. There was no other way except to put him on broad in front, as we say in Philly, to play him. Fadihatu. She exposed him. Since that day, the young brother hasn't been the same. He didn't go overseas. Allah knows best what he's doing now. The moral of the story is from the things that could slow you down in your career of ilm or anything else that you're trying to do is disrespecting your parents, and especially disrespecting your mother. And most basketball players that you guys idolize, and some of you may worship, and you try to be like, and look like, and dress like, and talk like, and walk like, that's the reality. If you read their biographies, or when they get drafted, 9 out of 10 times, who's there on the draft day? Who? Al-Ab, Al-Am, Al-Khal, Sahib men. 9 out of times, it's the what? It's the mom. The mansion that he buys first is for who? It's for moms. The car, the diamonds, all of that, he spends the money on who? His moms. And that's because his mother was behind him. If the father wasn't, or the friends wasn't, or the coach, or the mother was always there. She pushed him, she supported him every single game. They say, look at Fulan's mother in the crowd. She has on her shirt, her hat, she's cheering for her son. It's a reason why they're successful. And it's a reason why they go far. And it's a reason why they become beloved and famous. And one of those reasons is because of what? It's the good service to the mother and the good service to the parents. So if you think you're going to be a doctor or an engineer or a basketball player or a talibul ilm or a scholar, and you treat your parents like trash, you treat them like crap, excuse my French, it's not going to work out in most cases. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Last but not least, brothers and sisters, with regards to deaths and tragedies, Allah Azza wa Jalla has told us that every soul is going to taste death. And He did not exclude a soul without a soul. Nafs duna nafs. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, inna lil mawti sakarat. He died. There was a type of suffering at the time of death. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he left his loved ones. He left this world behind. So there's no one who's exempt from death. So if you're shocked or upset or saddened because a person, and Allah knows best who it is and who is outwardly a non-Muslim, you need to check your Islam. Should be no shock. Death can come at any time. Death can come in any situation. فَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Allah says never die unless you're Muslim, meaning always practice Islam 25/8. 25 hours out the day, 8 days out of the week. So to become sad and distraught and heartbroken by this person and that person dying and reaching death, you need to rethink your Islam. You need to rethink life. No one is promised mortality. No one is promised to live forever. All right? And how sad do you become when a Muslim dies? A great scholar or a great warrior dies. A leader of the Muslims who's just. How sad do you become when 1,000 Muslim children were blown up and destroyed by a bomb? So we have to be mindful of this, huh? And Allah surely knows best. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa iyyakum. Any questions? If not, we'll stop. Are there any questions from the brothers? And if not, we'll stop here. It's too far away, akhi. Hamza gave you the reminder. He gave you a beneficial reminder about coming close. Sometimes it's good to become overwhelmed. Not all the time, but sometimes. Sometimes it's good to become overwhelmed. At least you're moving forward. At least you have some type of steam or energy. And the moment that you feel that you've jumped 15 steps, alhamdulillah, at least you jumped. Slow down, rethink it, regroup, go back to step 2. But every now and then in life, whatever you're seeking and searching for, every now and then you need a bit of recklessness. And all of the great athletes and the great generals and the great conquerors, at one point or time in their career, were accused of being a little crazy. All of them, at one point in time. You're trying to conquer this whole continent? Yes. And what? We're going to do it. You're crazy, it's insane, it's impassable. The fortress is impregnable. Look now, China fell, Persia fell, Rome fell, Greece fell, this country fell. These allies were defeated. It's possible. You're going to cross this forest and attack the country, so on and so forth. He did it. And in less than a month, 5 countries he ran through like a knife through cheese. And they said this line of defense is impassable, impregnable. And he defeated 5 to 6 countries in less than a month. So everybody, every now and then, is a bit crazy who's successful. But you got to slow down if you go too far too fast. Regroup. But every now and then you have to be a little what? You got to be a little reckless every now and then. And that's the raw combustion of the fuel. The explosion that makes the engine roar and take off. Everything can't be slow. Take your time driving like that. Every now and then you need a little bit of what? Craziness. And Allah knows best. Fadl akhi. May Allah bless you. How to improve your memory. What would you tell him, Sima? To listen to what? It's a book that we explained, and the name of the book is called How to Memorize. How to read, how to understand, etc. Inshallah. We've explained that there. All right? Wallahu alam. Any other questions? Maybe we'll take one from online. James Arthur from the UK. What city are you coming from, James Arthur? Please tell us the city. Ali Taha. Is it permissible to work at a church? What city? What state? PB from Maryland, USA. Who is Abu Ala Al-Mara'i? La Adri. KA from London, UK. Any advice on teaching children in the madrasa? Yeah. Treat the children like they're your own sons. Treat the children like they're your little brothers. I would say 3 tiers of wisdom for teaching children in a madrasa are as follows. Number 1, love. Number 2, trust. Number 3, respect. You don't gotta write it down, memorize it. Love, trust, respect. The first goal of the teacher of children, even high school kids, is get them to love you, if you can. If you can't, or you already got that, then get them to trust you. Get them to trust your knowledge, that you know what you're talking about. Get them to trust your personality, that you're not trying to mislead them or be too harsh to them or give them bad information. If they love you and trust you, they will eat out of your hand, literally. Last but not least is get them to respect you. You're friendly, you're loving, but at the same time, I am your teacher. There's a level. You don't play around with me like that. Don't call me by my first name. Don't make that type of joke. And hopefully you never even have to say those words, but the concept has to be there. No matter how lovable you are as a teacher, no matter how much we trust you, there's still respect. And there's a boundary in the line that will not be crossed. Once that boundary and that line is set, it'll save you from a lot of other disciplinary actions because they already know. And they love you and they trust you. But if you go into the class with an iron fist, smash nose, punch them off, sit down, shut up, I want to beat you right now, I'm going to whip you, you're going to do the homework right now, you're not going to really get that far. And those who take the test, who get the information, they're just trying to get out of the class. And you won't have a relationship with them long term. You ever have a good teacher, you see him 20 years later, well, how you feel when you see him? Speak to him. How you doing, man? I heard you're doing big things. Oh, thanks a lot. You're happy to see them, and they're what? Happy to see you. Then you run into a teacher that you used to hate from middle school, high school. I ain't speaking to him. Oh, you made what? Paybacks. I'm a grown man now. You used to beat me up, I was a little kid. Now what? The tables have turned. Everyone understand this? And it's a reason why. It's a reason why. And Allah surely knows best. طيب. Ali says, Ali Taha in Toronto. We'll come back. Oh, slow down. طيب. SA, Sister Act. From Somalia, Somaliland. Or Somaliland, Somalia. Questions coming from Somalia. It's a reality. What is the extent a student should be loyal to their teacher? You be loyal to your teacher in general on one level or another forever. On one level or another. And what I mean by that is the teacher may apostate from Islam, waliyadu billah. The teacher may be upon clear misguidance within Islam. The teacher may be wrong. The teacher may break the rules. The teacher may harm or oppress you. But there's never ever a time in which you reject the fact that you studied with them. I never studied with him. Brother Fulan, what? Yata'awanu wa iyyahu. We're just, he helped me out a little bit. We were studying together. No, he was your teacher, man. He left Islam, but when he was a Muslim, he was my teacher. So that meaning of loyalty never ever goes away. You can't deny what you took and what you learned from. That never goes away. Clear on that? In Islam, the Muslim, he's not left Islam, alhamdulillah, but he's deviated clearly from the truth. You don't agree with that. You hate him for Allah's sake, but you do not reject the fadl. Just like divorce. وَلَا تَنْسَوُا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. We're not together anymore. We can't live as husband and wife, but don't discredit the sister. Don't front. Don't act like you never liked her. Don't act like you didn't have 5 children with her. Don't act like she didn't hold you down. Don't act like she wasn't there for you. Don't just say she was this, she was that, she was evil, she wasn't praying, she was haram. Don't do that. It didn't work out. I made some mistakes. She said, or maybe she is bad, or she did turn evil. But don't reject all of the good. So that type of loyalty never ever what? Goes away. As far as following your teacher and something that you know is a mistake, then there should be no loyalty in that. You know it's a mistake. As far as if you don't know, then that's a different story. Maybe it's best to just trust your teacher. As far as if you're doubtful, maybe it's best to avoid it. And if your teacher makes a mistake or an error, it does not necessitate that all of their virtues are now poured down the drain. He messed up in this, but it does not take away from the other 50 things that he was right in. He fell into this error or this sin or this mistake. That does not take away this good character and this time and this generosity. You don't strip him of everything. Everyone understand this? So there are times in which there's loyalty all the time, and there are times in which there cannot be any loyalty. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Next question says, from Ottawa, Ontario, HM, what is the proper way to make dua? There are different levels of making dua. Sometimes dua is with the heart. Sometimes with the tongue. Sometimes you raise your hands. Sometimes you make a perfect wudu. You make 2 rak'ah. You declare Allah's oneness. You praise Him. You mention His names and His attributes. You send prayers and say about the Prophet ﷺ. You seek Allah's forgiveness, then you ask Allah for what you want, as Ibn Qayyim has explained. You pick a time to make dua in the third of the night, or when it's raining, or Jummah, etc., etc. There are different levels of dua. Different levels of dua. Dua isn't on one level, but it's a basic standard of calling on Allah, even if you're laying in a hospital bed. So there are different levels of polishing of dua. It depends on which one you want. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Next question says, KL from Los Angeles, California, advice or suggested text on self-control. Read the books of Ibn al-Qayyim if you want a suggested text. AT from Toronto, Canada, is it permissible to work at a church as a teacher? I wouldn't advise you to do it. I would not advise you to do it. However, you could just be a teacher of science, social studies. The church has a school there. You're not worshiping. You're not promoting any worship. You're a professional school teacher. I teach geography at a church school. To say that that's haram, that you can't go into the church, you can't go into the church school, you can't be a normal teacher, have nothing to do with Christianity, that's going to become a bit difficult. Let alone there are many other schools that are owned by churches, or people who worship Satan and promote the worship of Satan. You working there doesn't mean that you agree with them. Wallahu a'lam. B. Baraka, Chicago, Illinois. How to overcome shyness in the path of seeking knowledge. And what type of woman should someone who is seeking knowledge seek to marry? Overcoming shyness, ask Allah, who is Al-Qawi Al-Aziz, to give you strength and power. Invoke Allah via His names and attributes that pertain to your situation. Al-Qawi Al-Aziz, the most strong, the most mighty. Oh Allah, give me strength, give me might, give me courage. Okay? The supporter of the Prophet ﷺ, the supporter of David over Goliath, the supporter of this one, Hazim and Ahzab, the one who gave strength to a smaller group over a larger group. Give me support, give me strength, make me brave, etc. Secondly is, as a wise man once said, the best way to overcome fear is to embrace fear. Sometimes that's the best way to break out of it. Cold turkey. You're scared, you're shy, throw them right in the middle of everything. When I was in Yemen, I had a teacher there who had many different brothers sitting with him. There were Arabs, there were non-Arabs, Yemenis, non-Yemenis, etc. And oftentimes there were brothers from Western countries who knew a little bit of Arabic, but the Arabic wasn't that good, or they were a little scared or a little shy. Some of them would hide behind a pillar. Some of them would try to duck down. And wallahi, as if the sheikh had a special talent, like he had like some type of radar vision. He like had a heat-seeking vision on the people that were scared in the class. He could feel like a shark in the water. And he would beam in on the ones that were scared. You, ma halu, man akhrajuhu, tara, ma i'rabu, kada. And they would try to duck. And someone was like, yeah, sheikh, every time you pick on me, you know that I'm scared. He says, what? I know that. And I'm trying to help you what? Get out of that fear, get out of that shyness, and get out of that weakness. So sometimes you need to be embarrassed. Sometimes that's the best way to break it. And if you're entrusted with getting rid of shyness or fear, in most cases, you'll what? You'll keep it. Getting rid of the phobia, if you're entrusted to do it whenever you're ready. And this is one of the greatest tricks of shaitan. When people have problems and issues, they say, I can do it myself. I don't need help. I don't need therapy. I don't need this. It's one of the greatest tricks of shaitan. If you could do it yourself, why didn't you do it yet? And you know that it's bad. And you know that it's destructive. You know it's messing you up. Why you ain't stopped yet? Because in most cases, you don't have the courage or you don't have the strength to do it by yourself. So sometimes you need to be what? Thrown into the lion's den. All right? And Allah knows best. Fadal. Fadal. Clear. Go to a third world country, a very poor and impoverished third world country. You can spend a little bit of money that can go a very, very, very long way for them on something basic and simple. In this village, the people have to walk 5 miles to the nearest well to get water, to drink, to eat, to bathe. $1,000, $2,000 chump change to you that you might spend on some jewelry or to a vacation. You can build 10 wells in their village. A school bus. Buy them shoes for the winter time. There's so many different things that you can do to help people out that will be continuous charity. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. You'll be shocked. I remember this one brother, he was in Connecticut. He was an older brother. And he was talking about his different trips and travels to different impoverished third world countries. And he said, I never will forget the time in which I saw children in the street fighting over a banana peel. Not a banana, piece of fruit, half a banana. A banana peel, you know, when you bite it and you leave a bunch and you throw it? No. He said children in the street starving, in which they fought each other over a banana peel. He said, I'll never ever forget that. Think about that. You see somebody fighting over a banana peel? Orange rinds, how poor, how hungry are they? So imagine if you went over there and you made for them a banana farm. For the Muslims, you did this, you did that. How much would that cost you? But how far would it go for them? That would be my advice. And Allah knows best. And if not, you make Sadaqah Jariyah here. Build a school here. Make a public library here. Make a fund for students that go to Medina and come back. Right here in Ottawa. There's so many different ways of khair. So many different ways. That's my advice. And Allah knows best. Question says, as far as what type of sister should you marry? Marry somebody that's like you. Marry somebody that sees what you see, wants what you want. Marry someone that has the same goals and ambitions in life as you with regards to seeking ilm. Wallahu alam. AA, London, is it permissible to shave a newborn baby's girl's hair or is it imitating the opposite gender? Shaykh Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that hair in Islam is of 3 types. Hair that you're commanded to shave, hair that you're commanded not to shave, and hair which is either neither this or that. The hair that you're commanded to shave or to remove from your armpits. The hair that you're prohibited from cutting and shaving, your beard. And some narrations with a woman to shave her head. Hair that you can do whatever you want with it. I'm going to say the hair on your arm, or the hair on your neck, or the hair on your chest. Keep it if you want to, remove it if you want to. Is there a specific prohibition of cutting a baby girl's head? Is that imitating the opposite gender? Does the baby girl not have the gold earrings and the bangle, and the bracelet? Are they not cutting the baby's hair for the hair to grow thicker and stronger? So I wouldn't necessarily say it's haram to shave a baby girl's head, and Allah knows best. Muhyiddin, please let us know where you're coming from. JJ from Buffalo, New York. Should a sinner with major sins give da'wah? Every Muslim is to give da'wah, on one level or another. Should you be the spokesman? Should you be the poster boy of da'wah? Of course not. But just because you're a major sinner don't mean that you don't love Allah. It doesn't mean that you can't help out a Christian or a Jew or an atheist. Or maybe even another major sinner. Call to Allah, and perhaps that is your way to getting forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never leave off an opportunity to call others to good, even if you're not doing it yourself. And Allah knows best. UT from Ottawa, Canada. Can you disagree or against parents in a respectful way? Is that going against birr al-walidain? It depends on what it is. It depends on what it is, and it depends on what you mean by disagree respectfully. Something that's haram, something that's obligatory, something that is like ilm versus seeking the dunya. It depends on what that thing is. It can be done. A.H. from Toronto, Canada. What advice do you have for someone who's trying to become more religious, but their environment is holding them back and affecting their iman negatively? The hadith of the man who killed 100 people. He said, leave. The village that you're in is an evil village. فَخْرُجْ مِنْهَا إِلَى الْقَرْيَةِ الْفُلَانِيَّةِ الَّتِي أَهْلُهَا صَالِحُونَ إِلَى آخِرِهِ. He said, go to the next village. Leave the environment. A.L.H. My name is Liban from London. What are means of making your heart purified? I would say any book that you can get your hands on of Ibn al-Qayyim in English, buy it and read it. Ibn al-Qayyim was one of the greatest cardiologists, one of the greatest heart doctors. He talks about the tangible ways, the specific ways of purifying the heart. Asking Allah for purification, avoiding eating haram wealth, not being jealous and envious against people. These are all ways of purifying your heart. Allahu A'lam. Says here, PB from Maryland, USA, is it true that colonists attempted to replace Arabic letters with Latin letters? I'm sure it's possible. Or rather, there's certain countries in which it did happen. Certain countries, even though they didn't speak Arabic, the language was written in Arabic letters. Everyone understand this? It was written in Arabic language. It was written in Arabic letters. And Arabic letters, FYI in English, are actually Hindi letters. Hindi letters. Right? And the 1, 2, 3 that we use, those are actually called Arabic numeral. Everyone understand this? Al-Muhim, we know what they're talking about. Ayn, Jim, Sin, Ta, etc. Yes, there are many things that they did, such as to spread Amiyah. They spread the Darija. They spread slang among the Muslims to make them weak and to take them away from understanding the Quran and reading it properly. There's no doubt about that. Knowledge is power, and ignorance is also power. To keep people ignorant is power. It's possible. A.M., Minneapolis, Minnesota. Assalamu alaikum. Mufti, hope you're doing well. What are the texts one can read that discuss the virtues and rewards of seeking knowledge so that he may gain a motivational boost? 40 hadith, what? On seeking knowledge, volume 1 and volume 2. Fadal ya akhi.
What advice would you give to someone who's trying to get, because you said giving da'wah is a right of every Muslim, but like for example, like what advice would you give to someone who's trying to, who wants to give da'wah, but is not sure of what to start?
Clear. It's simple. It's simple. You give da'wah based off of what you know. Giving da'wah based off of what you know. Things that you're sure of. Da'wah could be saying hello to someone, opening the door for a lady, helping out an old lady at a supermarket. That could be da'wah. There are many forms of giving da'wah. Da'wah doesn't always have to be verbal. Give someone a book, a pamphlet. There are many forms of da'wah. Even if you were mute, you couldn't even talk, you could still give da'wah. Give da'wah with your actions. Many ways of giving da'wah. Clear? MZ from Brussels, Belgium. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. What should our stance be towards individuals such as Abu Hamid al-Ghazali? Do we deny them completely? Do we read their works, etc.? Al-Ghazali is like any other scholar. He had things that he did that were good, that were virtuous, and errors or shortcomings or flaws. If you have the ability to distinguish and decipher yourself, then do so. If you don't have the ability to distinguish and decipher yourself, then take the summarized version of his book, or the summarized versions of his books from the trusted scholars. And there are many, many scholars. If you have doubt about Ghazali, you read other books. Alhamdulillah, Ghazali, without any disrespect, he wasn't the only scholar to talk about purification of the heart, or the soul, or the mind. Many other books that you can read about these things. Many, many other books. But if you want to read the books of Al-Ghazali for the virtue and the benefit, then that's one thing. But just be mindful. Be mindful. Wallahu alam. S.A. from Ottawa. When making salah and are on the last rak'ah, can you make dua before you finish the salah? Yes, that's one of the best times to make dua. N.M. from Ottawa, Canada. Are eyeliner fillers permissible? If the filler used is concentrated hyaluronic acid that gets rid of dark under eyes. This is done in female spas. Inshallah ta'ala, there's nothing wrong with that. Bismillah. Removing something that's aib. It's not permanent. Bags or dark spots or things like this. It's not like it's surgery. Inshallah khair. MM from Virginia, South Africa. Advice to a student of hadith. How can one improve his memory? As we mentioned, go back to that playlist. Yasmin M from New York City. How to let go of a previous relationship from before Islam. Finding yourself and being a better person and loving Allah. Jazakallahu khairan. You make tawbah. You have regret for what you did, but you don't get stuck on what you did. And you realize that Allah forgives all sins. And you realize that the Sahaba were people who did wrong before they were Muslim. They worshipped idols before they were Muslim. They killed each other before they were Muslim. And they learned from the Prophet. They believed in the Prophet. And they received that purification and they became the best of the best. Read the lives of the Sahaba. And Allah knows best. Question says, T.A. from London. I want to be a student of knowledge, but my desires are holding me back. We answered the question many, many times before. Fadl ya akhi. Specific madhab, get a teacher and let the teacher teach you. If he wants to teach you through a madhab, alhamdulillah. If he wants to teach you without a madhab, but in the basic baby steps, alhamdulillah. The most important thing is slow progression, whether it's through a madhab or not. There are books and madhabs that are for experts that will confuse you, that you'll read and you'll want to stop studying because it's so confusing and intricate. And there are books on hadith that are laid out so simply and easy that you'll keep wanting to read it. It's not about the content, but it's about the way. It's not the move, but it's the what? It's the movement. It's not the move, but the movement, how you move. So do what your teacher gives you. If you have to teach yourself, teach in basic steps. And of course, there's a lot of good in madhabs. There's structure in the madhab. There's antiquity in the madhab. It's been proven through generations. Many scholars have come and polished. There are many benefits of a madhab. And there are also harms in studying a madhab or following a madhab. There's tremendous benefit in studying the books of hadith in a proper way. There are tremendous benefits in studying comparative fiqh in a basic, simple way. So it depends on the progress and not the actual content. Clear? And if you study a madhab, don't get stuck in it. Question says from HM. Perhaps this will be our last question tonight. As a matter of fact, we're going to stop here tonight, guys. It's a little late. I don't want to hold everybody up. Inshallah ta'ala, until the next Q&A session. Please forgive me. Jazakumullah khairan. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa baraka ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.